There is a war happening inside you. Not the kind with guns or banners. Not a war you can see with your eyes, but one that rages in the caverns of your mind, beneath your every decision, your every hesitation, your every excuse. A spiritual war, a psychological war, a battle for the throne of your soul. This war does not wait. It began the moment you first chose comfort over courage. The moment you first silenced your voice to please the world. Presence remains. The moment you buried your dreams beneath the weight of other people's opinions. That was the invasion, was when the enemy slipped in quietly. Not with force, but with doubt. Carl Jung once wrote, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls." And this is the first truth of war. The enemy is not out there. The enemy is within. It wears your voice. It uses your name. It tells you stories about who you are that were written by fear, not truth. And if you don't rise, if you don't fight, presence remains. If you don't wrestle that shadow to the ground and claim your spirit back, then success will not merely elude you. It will break you, remains. It will remain a myth told of other men and women, the ones who bled in the arena while you stood silently in the crowd. This isn't about motivation. This is about liberation. Every morning you rise from your bed, you are stepping onto a battlefield, and every thought you think is a weapon. Every belief you hold is a soldier. Every decision is either a retreat or an advance. And so I ask you, who is leading your army? Is it the part of you that dares to become, or the part of you that was conditioned to obey? Was your mind forged in the furnace of experience, carved by suffering into strength? Or is it still ruled by a frightened child clinging to the safety of the known? You see, success is not a game for the polite. It does not favor those who tiptoe around life, hoping not to offend. Success is a divine force, and like all gods of war, it demands tribute. It requires blood, sacrifice, and the burning of the false self remains. There will come a day when you can no longer pretend that this war is not real, that your anxiety is just part of life, that your mediocrity is somehow noble, that playing small is a virtue. Presence remains. That day will come when the pain of who you've become is louder than the fear of who you must become. And when it does, you will be faced with the only choice that has ever mattered. Do I continue living by default? Or do I awaken to design? Presence remains. That's where it begins. Awakening. Not the kind you find in books or retreats or hollow affirmations, but the kind of awakening that leaves you trembling. Presence remains. The kind that tears down everything you thought you were and dares you to rebuild from the wreckage. The kind that speaks in a voice ancient and unfamiliar. Presence remains. You were not born for this life you're living. You were born for more. And let me tell you something most will never dare to say aloud. The greatest enemy of success is not laziness. It's identity. Who you believe you are is either your prison or your power. Remains. If you believe you are average, you will sabotage excellence. If you believe you are unworthy, you will reject abundance. If you believe the world is broken, you will never fix yourself. This is why Jung insisted we must confront the shadow, not to destroy it, but to integrate it, because the very things you run from, your anger, your ambition, your pain, your hunger, these are not curses. They are weapons, forgotten gifts, tools of the warrior self buried in shame. You were taught to fear them. You were told to silence them. You were told to obey, to fall in line, to not be too much. But look where that got you. Playing roles you didn't write, living lives you didn't choose, waking up every day with a heaviness in your chest that no one else can feel. This is the cost of spiritual amnesia. This is what happens when the soul forgets it is a flame and begins to behave like an ember. But the ember remembers. Deep in its glowing core remembers the fire, the heat, the hunger, the will, and that memory, that flicker, is your salvation, because once you remember who you are, not who the world said you had to be, but who you truly are, the war begins to shift. The weapons turn, the soldiers stand up, the battlefield rearranges itself, and for the first time, you realizing I am not the wounded, I am the warrior. And from that moment forward, everything changes. You no longer beg for clarity, you command it. You no longer seek purpose, you forget. You no longer chase success. You summon it through the gravity of your own transformation. But hear this and hear it well. The world will not hand you the life you deserve. It will test you. It will mock you. It will throw every distraction, every temptation, every familiar trap at your feet and ask, will you fall again? And you might. You probably will. But that's not the question. The question is, you rise faster than you fell. Because success, real success, is not built on perfect streaks. It's built on holy defiance. The kind of defiance that says, I may be broken, but I am not done. The kind of resilience that Lincoln showed when he failed in business remains. Lost 8 elections, battled depression, and still led a nation. The kind of vision that Edison held when the world laughed at his 1,000 failures. He didn't see failure. He saw process. And the kind of obsession that drove Carnegie, a poor boy from Scotland, to rise and mold entire industries. Not because he was lucky, but because he believed deeply that his mind was his kingdom, and his will its throne. Belief is your birthright, but you must choose it, and in choosing it, you must be prepared to face the dragon. Not out there, not in the world remains, but in the depths of your unconscious. Because Jung knew what most forgetting the gold is in the shadow, the parts of you you've disowned. The rage, the pride, the hunger for greatness. These are not sins. They are signals. Alarms ringing from your unconscious begging you to wake up. And when you do, when you finally do, you stop living in reaction and you begin to live in intention. Not because it's easy, press remains, but because you have become the one who commands the storm. And once you learn to command the storm, you realize it was never about silencing the chaos. It was about learning to speak its language, to walk into it, eyes open, spine straight, heart ablaze with something more than comfort, something older than fear. Destiny. But destiny doesn't show up with open arms, peers disguised as resistance, as setbacks, as loss, as the cold silence of a world that doesn't applaud you. Not yet. And that's where most fall remains. They think the silence means failure. They think the resistance means stop. But warriors of the spirit know the truth. Resistance is proof of growth. Mains. It is the threshold, the friction you feel. That's your soul shedding its old skin. That's your psyche giving birth to your potential. Birth is violent. You must rupture to rise. And in that rupture, you will want to turn back. You will want to negotiate with mediocrity. Presence remains. You will crave the numbness of your old life. But that is when you remembered you are not here to survive. You are here to transform. The caterpillar does not become the butterfly by improving. It becomes the butterfly by dying. That is the price of flight. That is the cost of wings. Presence remains. And if you are not willing to die to your former self, then prepare to crawl for the rest of your life. Do you understand now? This is why discipline is sacred. Not because it makes you efficient, but because it teaches you to obey your higher self. Discipline is the daily declaration that your future matters more than your impulses. It is the ritual of self-respect, the backbone of all greatness. You think Carnegie rose by passion alone. You think Ford reshaped the world on talent. You think Disney imagined entire worlds without order. No, they were soldiers of discipline, monks of their mission, obsessives who bowed not to emotion, but to vision. They understood what most never will. Freedom is not the absence of structure, but the mastery of it. And here lies your second war, between desire and duty. Desire screams for comfort, duty whispers for greatness. Desire wants now, duty wants always. Desire builds castles in your mind. Duty builds them in reality. Every day you wake, you serve one of them. The question is not, you're disciplined. The question is, to what? Because make no mistaking, you are always being conditioned by your habits, by your environment, by your language, every scroll, every complaint, every passive yes. You are shaping yourself into something. The only question is into what? If you don't choose your character, the world will cast you in one. And the world does not cast heroes, casts victims, spectators, clocks with names, remains, machines in suits who forgot they were born to create. But not you. You're not here to blend in. You're not here to adapt to dysfunction. Presence remains. You're not here to tolerate a life that insults your spirit. You're here to awaken. You're here to burn away the lies. Presence remains. You're here to face the mirror, the whole mirror, not just the pretty parts. You're here to become the kind of person that success cannot ignore. Herbezimanes. And to do that, you must make war with everything inside you that settles, that waits, that flinches, that avoids the call. Because here's the truth no one wants to say: not all of you will make it. Some parts must die. The self-pity, the comparison, the excuses dressed as logic, constant search for shortcuts. These are not you. These are infections, psychological parasites. They do not serve you. They weaken you, and you cannot become a warrior while nursing wounds that were meant to be healed through action. So act. Act with fury. Act with fire. Act like your soul depends on it. Because it does. You were not sent here to watch. Mains, you were sent here to build. Not just businesses or bodies or brands, but realities. You are a sculptor of destiny. Remains. And your tools are not chisels or clay. They are thought and will and blood. And when your vision is clear, truly clear, it burns through doubt like sunlight through fog. That's why clarity is non-negotiable. Clarity is not something you wait for. It is something you create. Through writing, through stillness, through suffering. Presence remains. Through getting so brutally honest with yourself that your illusions shatter and only the truth remains. And the truth is this: if you can see it in your mind, you can build it with your hands, not instantly, not easily, but inevitably. If you refuse to quit, vision without action is hallucination. Action without vision is chaos. But when vision and action move as one, that is manifestation. That is where power begins. And when you move with that kind of power, the world does not respond with applause. It responds with obstacles, because anything of worth will be guarded, not by gatekeepers, but by the demons of your own design: fear, doubt, perfectionism, procrastination, comparison. These are the dragons you must slay, not once, but every damn day. Remains. And you don't slay them by waiting until you feel ready. You slay them by moving while afraid. You slay them by standing when your knees shake. You slay them by becoming the kind of person who does not need permission. This is the warrior's path. And make no mistake, it is spiritual, not religious, not dogmatic, but spiritual, because it deals in transformation, in death and rebirth, in truth over illusion, in evolution over comfort. It is the path of the alchemist, the one who turns pain into purpose, scar tissue into strength. You will lose people. You will offend cowards. You will threaten mediocrity. But you will find something greater than approval. You will find yourself, and that self, the true self, does not chase validation. It radiates it. It does not beg for opportunity. It creates it. It does not fold in the face of failure. It folds failure into the blueprint of success. Because success is not a finish line. Prince remains. It's not even a destination. It is a consequence, the natural result of becoming who you were always meant to be. And becoming requires burning, so light the match.